Hey everybody, this is Dr. Nashley with the Garden of Nash, and today I wanted to get out here because it is almost spring, baby, yes. And I want to show y'all a couple things. So a couple things we want to focus on today. How do you plant a CowPot plant? So we'll talk all about what is a CowPot. They're biodegradable, actually made from cow, a composted cow manure. Really good for plants, that especially if you're selling them. So I bought them from a nursery. We'll talk about that. I'm also going to give you a sneak peek into my sweet potato process, which I can't wait to show you all, and we'll do a longer video later about it. But also today we're just going to show you about the garden prep in the springtime, because I got some plants I'm going to be moving outside, some of my fruit trees. We're going to also do some other planting and possibly some seed starting. So there's so much more in store. So definitely stay tuned. Hit that like, subscribe, comment, share, watch a couple videos, tell somebody about us, and let's get into it. All right, so I'm gonna show you all a little bit about the spring garden and what has been happening exactly. So if you recall from last former video, leafy greens do just fine across the winter time. These things have been through the trials and tribulations of the wintertime, and they still look good. You technically can still eat these. So I'm gonna probably let these continue to grow until they start to go to seed, and I'll save those seeds and go with those seeds next year. And it's just a cycle that repeats itself. These are actually broadleaf mustard greens, and I believe I got one of these from a nursery, and the others I started from seeds that I had before. As you can see in the garden, we have some of our herbs starting to come out already. Now, we're not quite in spring just yet. I know I did a video recently about, don't be fooled by the fake spring or the pseudo spring, because you don't want to get out your spring or tropical plants just yet. But I would even hold off on some of those that are really extremely sensitive. But one reason I know it's spring, at least in my area, and I'm in the 7B, 8A area in Georgia, that plant right there, which I believe is a cherry blossom, that plant, whenever it does start to bloom, I know it's springtime. It's about to be springtime. So that gives me a signal that, hey, you can go ahead and start to put out some of the things in your garden. Now, what that also signifies for me is allergies. So if you notice, I'm a little stopped up today. That's why, because even though I love being outside in the garden in the springtime, that tree right there signifies to me I'm going to start having allergy problems and being stopped up. So excuse me if you hear a little bit of that. I did take my allergy medicine this morning and my nasal spray, so I'm hoping that's going to be okay. For those of you that know, we're just going to try to make it through, all right? All right, so what else we got over here? Now, I do have Mother Rosemary always going to be doing her thing. And of course, we got some of this purple kale, or I think they call it the red kale. Let me see if I can find a little. I can't find it, but y'all know this stuff is actually doing pretty good too. And if we can get a little bit more sunlight, it'll do even better. Now, I got some herbs down over here somewhere. We did a video on herbs. We got some of our mint over there. We also have, I can actually show you some of that actually. These herbs are starting to come up. So that's mint. It's actually a chocolate mint right there. Smells so good. This over here, this is actually a weed, but not weed, but a weed, y'all. So this is a lemon thyme right here. This smells so good as well. Y'all can tell I like a lot of lemon stuff. Lemon thyme, lemon balm. Also had lemongrass at one point. All so great. The aromatic, it makes you smell and breathe it in, and just helps with so many things. Up on the hill up there, I think I showed you all, we have some oregano growing. I think we showed that in our last video. Our sage right here, this lasted throughout. And look, if you go all the way down there, you can start to see something coming up. It actually looks like mint, actually. So hopefully the sage will start to bloom soon. It smells good as well. So what I'm gonna do in this bed, this was actually a problematic bed last year. I tried to plant my watermelon in here, and as you see, this was some of the vines from the watermelon. And I think I got 1 or 2 watermelons, and what happened was we kept getting a lot of mushrooms and fungal growth in this bed. And so what I'm gonna do is, I think that's because it just wasn't getting a lot of drainage. So whenever it would rain, we would get that issue. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna remove these little containers from around here, because who knows, that could be something stopping the drainage as well. And then we're gonna put the bed, we're gonna till through the soil, and then I'm gonna put my cow pots in there. And so you'll see I actually got roses in the cow pot. We're gonna put those up there, and then we're gonna put a couple up there as well. All right. Now, here's the cow pots and some of the plants. We'll come back to that, but just want to show you a couple more things that are happening in the spring here. Now, we got arugula growing up there. Those must have been just volunteer seeds, or volunteer seeds are just leftover seeds that I didn't necessarily intentionally plant, but they might have fallen off from a previous plant, or they may have just dropped by accident. Or maybe they were there last year, they were buried too deep, and they got a little bit closer to the surface of the soil and were actually able to germinate this time. We got some cabbage heads right there. These are old broccoli heads, so we're gonna actually pull those up. And then my lavender is looking really good. It's starting to spread around here, and I think another one of those plants that smells so good. Again, I gotta watch out because I'm allergic. So far, we're so good though. All right, y'all, look at this chamomile here. The darker pieces have overtaken. If you remember our last video, I showed you this thing is growing up. I didn't do anything to this chamomile last year or throughout the winter season. I didn't even water it, y'all, and it's already growing back. So again, you want to get a big bang for your buck, especially if you like herbal teas. Plant you some herbs, y'all. You plant those things once, they're gonna come back every year. They're gonna, if nothing dramatic happens, like I think one year it was like just a crazy non-traditional winter, and I did lose, I think, some sage, but other than that, these herbs should come back every year. Huge bang for your buck. So when you go into the grocery store, just go ahead and buy the herb in the pot, because you're gonna spend the same amount for a small packet of seasoning as you would for just buying the sage or the herb or whatever it is in the pot, the basil, and then break off what you need to cook with and put the rest in the garden. You'll be surprised where it'll take you. Now I'm gonna clean up all of this too. This is old basil. These actually have some seeds in here too for basil, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of that come back up. I actually gotta do a little research on the basil. If you've grown basil before, what is the actual seed? Is it this from the flower? What is the actual seed? I have to look that up. Maybe I'll get my AI friend to help us out. But if y'all will look at this arugula right here, this was on a video that we planted in the dark. We said garden in the dark, on the run. We were out here, hubby as well, filming me. I had a flight to catch. Check out that video, but this arugula has grown up. We've been eating some of this arugula. In fact, I'm gonna just try a little piece here. I gotta make sure there's nothing crazy on there. This stuff is so tender. Ooh! Y'all, you can't beat growing in the garden. I can't wait for this springtime to come, y'all. Okay, I'm getting excited already. So we also got, look at that, our cilantro starting to come up. Notice that some of our arugula is going to seed. So we got those flowers there. Now I got a bunch of arugula old seeds. So you can see already starting to draw in some of the pollen on there, which is why I'm stopped up today. I can't wait to get some more of this arugula. We might have some really good salad tonight, me and the hubby. And I love how this is just coming up. Again, I didn't water this at all. It just came up over the winter season. And so what we'll do is we'll probably start to trim this down maybe over the next couple of weeks. Since it's already going to seed, we're going to eat as many salads as we can. And then we're going to get these out of the bed and see what else we could plant over here in this cedar bed. Now, this is the cedar bed. If you recall, the hubby and I actually did a video together, putting this together. It was actually a wedding gift. We appreciate everybody that pitched in to get this for us. And we put this together. He actually put it together. We came out here, we showed you exactly what we put in the soil. I may actually do a replay of that video a little bit to show you exactly what we did there, but it turned out doing really well. This was also the bed, if you recall, that we actually had our cucumbers in. And I would probably show a video of our cucumbers because those things were, they just took off. We had cucumbers. I made like 10 jars of pickles just from this one bed here and planting those 3 or 4 cucumber seeds. So again, the garden math is amazing. All right. Oh, let's see. One more thing I want. Oh yeah, I can't forget. These are my irises. These are early spring plants. Another sign that you know it's springtime because these things are gonna grow. They're gonna be the first blooms I'll probably see this spring, and they should come up within the next month or so. And they have beautiful blooms. I'll also show a video of that, purple and white. We're just gonna do a whole recap of all the videos from Garden of Nash 2025 to show y'all what you actually can do with a garden. But I did want to point these babies out over here. And every year, basically one plant turns into 2 plants. And so we started out with, I think, maybe 4 or 5 of these. And as you see, we have several, and that was maybe a few years ago. So like the biggest ones are probably the ones that we started with. And then or either those are the ones that died and created new seeds, but they're able to grow several around there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 even in just this one bunch, which I know is where I planted one of them. So over the years, these things will multiply. If you need a good cover plant to help stop erosion, which is actually why I planted them here, because we got erosion problems back here because we're on a big hill, I was able to stop some of that. And you notice these have really big roots, almost like reminds me of a turmeric or ginger almost. So I wonder, can we eat these? I'm gonna do my research because it's the Garden of Nash and I'm always experimenting. Don't worry, I'm not gonna do nothing crazy, y'all. But if something happened to me, you know what happened, okay? All right, so we're gonna go and I'm gonna actually show you all one more sign of spring. We've got all these signs of spring, and then we're gonna go to our cow pots. Before we do the cow pots, I may show you a couple more things. It's so much here in the Garden of Nash I wanna update y'all on. I know it's been a while, so we gotta get back. It's like catching up with an old friend, so I love talking to y'all and y'all tuning in. Now this right here, I always forget the name. I call it the popcorn plant. I know it's not what it is. I think it's the candy corn. That's what my mom calls it. So this thing, again, if you recall, everything was like this. There was just dead stems. And I come out here maybe a week ago or so, and I start to see these little blooms. And you see they look like candy corn. And this thing has, I think, doubled since the last time I looked at it, maybe a few days ago. And these little leaves are blooming. So again, another sign of spring. And I just love it. I just love it. It's so pretty. And this is gonna turn green over time. But early spring, this is what it looks like. And so it's like a reverse of the fall. Most plants, they turn green first, and then they go into red and orange and yellow. Your candy corn plant is actually reversed. So it's gonna look red and orange and yellow first, and then eventually turn into green. Amazing stuff, y'all. this is another quick phenomenon. Y'all excuse my junk over there. But now when we talk about volunteer seeds, look at, this is just a random corner. I actually used to have my greenhouse here. It was not the most sturdy because it kept blowing away in the wind. But because I have this, and this is another wedding gift here, but because I have so many, these are old seeds from, you got coriander or cilantro seeds. You also have some of my okra seeds. So these were able to be winterized. And so we got those okra seeds in there. Winterized, meaning that they experienced a cold. There's a process called stratification. If you want to look into that, it basically means that your seeds have to think that they went through a winter. So some people, to do like an artificial version of that, or stratification, if I'm saying that right, y'all don't come for me. They put their seeds in the freezer or the refrigerator to help them experience that for maybe a few weeks or so. And then they plant them because it makes the seeds think, okay, I've been through an entire cycle and now it's time to actually germinate. So hopefully that's what happens. We're gonna do some experiments this year. But what I was gonna point out is that these seeds from the old mustard greens that we planted and the arugula that we planted, they look almost identical, but they're like these little skinny pods. Because I had those over here, and because we had the wind and the rain, we got all these volunteer, look at these mustard greens, arugula. We even got cilantro over here. I think there's, yeah, cilantro right here. And you notice this is growing through rocks and red clay. Look at that red clay right there. That's what's underneath here. And did we fertilize this? No. Did we even plant these seeds? No. Did we provide sun? Obviously it was getting some kind of sun, but it's not a whole lot. And so imagine, you know, what you can do if you actually gave it some effort. This all grows on its own. And so it's amazing how God just provides those things for us with little effort. And imagine if you just put in the effort in the garden. So much you can do. I'm just so excited. Will I eat this? I don't know. I don't really know what's been planted down in here with this red clay, but it's just an awesome phenomenon for me to see, and just to know that, hey, you're doing something right, you're on the right track. It's good to see those little signs in life that you're doing the right thing. All right, so let's go over here, and I want to show you all. Oh, this is gonna be amazing too once it starts to bloom. These flowers, the Gardenia, they smell so good. I think these flowers, they only bloom for a short amount of time in the spring. I think usually around April or so. But they smell so good, and when they do, I cut them and put them in the house and have the whole house smelling good. Now, I did not prune this at all, so this thing is growing like crazy. And so I'm hoping that after this, I'm not gonna prune it now because look, we already got little buds starting to form that will eventually create flowers. Here's another one right here. And because it's already starting to bud, I don't want to interrupt that process. Ideally, if I would have pruned this in the end of the season, even in the late fall, early winter, then we could have, but it's okay. I'm not bothered by it any. At most, we'll just get a whole lot of flower blooms, which I'm not mad at that. But eventually, I don't want to like take over the whole back patio, so I'm gonna remind myself at the end of this season to make sure that I prune it. All right, let's talk about CowPots. All right, so we're gonna walk over here. Hold on one second. All right, so we're gonna walk over here. Now, y'all excuse some of my old plants that I've neglected. Unfortunately, it's been a lot going on. I told y'all I'm so good to be back. So glad to be back in the garden. All right, y'all. So what we have here is a CowPot, which you can look this up. All right. So a CowPot is actually a pot that is made of biodegradable material. It's actually made of composted cow manure. And so if I put this in the ground, this is just a big one, right? But they make them all sizes. They make small ones, large ones for seed starting. But if I put this in the ground, over time, when you water it, you put it in the soil, the other microorganisms in the soil start to eat away at it, and it starts to decompose into the ground. Now, this particular plant is what we call, it's a blue girl. It's one of our rose bushes that's intended. This was actually a rose that was a rose species that was breeded to be good for cutting and bringing them inside. So this particular plant at the nursery, they cut it off of another rose bush, and they probably propagated it in this CowPot with some fertilizer. You can see there's some fertilizer there that they put in there. It looks like some vermiculite as well that they put in there. And who knows what else they've gotten with the potting soil. And eventually, this rose, this is a blue girl again. Y'all know I love purple. I'm a purple girl, right? I got a couple other colors here. This is a yellow one called the Midas Touch. And this is our, so that one should be yellow, really pretty. This is called the Ketchup and Mustard. And the Floribunda. Oh, I like saying that, Floribunda. That sounds interesting. All right, so the fragrance here is mild, but these are red and yellow. And here's another blue girl right here, just lost the tag on it. But also notice that this one's growing a whole lot more than this one and this one. That's interesting. We might do some looking into that later on. But basically with the CowPot, I digress. What you're gonna do is you're gonna actually slit the sides, maybe like 4 slits, and that'll allow the roots to grow on the outside of the CowPot. All right, so that way the roots can actually get a good footing. They won't be stuck in the CowPot. It gives them an outlet, and believe me, the roots will find their way to the opening. It's almost like when we planted our cucumbers, the cucumbers find the trellis, like they find a way to reach out and grab a hold to something, whatever it is that's there, they'll make their way to it. It's amazing how plants do this. So the roots are gonna find their way to the slits, and we're gonna plant this into the soil. Now, granted, we can actually plant this into the soil without the CowPot. We can actually take it out of the CowPot, but we don't wanna do that because, again, the composted cow manure, that's gonna be really good nutrients for the plant and really for your soil moving forward if you have anything else that you're growing in there. So that's why we're gonna plant both of these today. I'm gonna put these, I thought about putting these out front, but I'm actually, to save myself from having to dig a real hole, because I don't have my auger with me. Sometimes I borrow one from my mom, or I'll go rent one from a local store or nursery. They do let you rent those tools sometimes. And they have electric ones too that allow you to really dig deep into the soil so that you can plant trees and plants. But I don't have that today, so I'm gonna actually plant this in one of my raised beds. So the one that I mentioned where it used to have the watermelons, we're gonna plant this over there. We're gonna plant 2 there, and we're gonna plant 2 up on the hill. And so now you may be asking, how deep do you plant it? So you're always gonna wanna plant at least a half of the size of the pot wider than the pot itself. So you're gonna wanna dig a hole that, so let's see, if half of this looks like about 3 inches or so. So you wanna add 1.5 inches on this side, 1.5 inches on that side. And we're gonna plant, make sure the hole is that wide, and we're gonna make sure the hole is as deep as the CowPot itself. So I believe I can easily get that with the raised beds that I already have. And so we're gonna make it easy on ourselves because, hey, sometimes in the garden you gotta make it easy on yourself. And then when I actually do get my auger, we'll do another video planting our fruit trees out here as well. So I'll show you all my fruit trees that I have in my garage. We're gonna move them outside so they can also get used to, I forget the word I'm looking for, but basically get used to being outside, weatherize them, or I can't think of the word right now, but basically get them used to being outside, because a lot of my fruit trees have been on the inside of the garage the entire winter season. Even my cactus, I'm gonna probably bring my cactus out here, my blue agave, and that thing has grown so much too. I can't wait to show y'all that. All right, so let's get to work. Okay, yeah, I should be able to knock this out rather quickly. All right, so what tools do we need? We're gonna get our clippers, and I'm gonna get my, here we are, my shovel here. And I also have, can't find my gloves at the moment, but it's okay, because we're gonna actually get our hands dirty. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, you guys, so I'm gonna come over here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut a little slit in the side here with my clippers. You can also use a knife if you want to. Now I'm gonna be careful not to go too deep, because I don't want to actually sever a root that is actually inside of there. So just try to make sure I stay as shallow as possible. Now you got a better way of doing it, please do. I just don't have my scissors with me. So there you go, we opened up a slit there. And if you look inside of there, I don't even see any roots right now. Oh yes, I do. I see one. Let's see, is that one? Okay, no, I don't see. So that's pretty good. So that means that we're getting this still early before the roots actually start to take the shape of the pot, because once they start taking the shape of the pot, it's a little bit longer to get them outside of the pot. All right, so I'm gonna do 4. So it's 1 right there. We go 1 right there. Again, wanna just check, see if I see any roots there, but we looking good. So you can see in there, they did actually put, you do actually see some sort of fertilizer or some sort of symbiotic activity going on, because I see the white, it looks like maybe either fertilizer or something that's actually starting to biodegrade the actual pot. Now, what I've also seen people actually take the bottom of the pot and cut the bottom out. You don't have to do that. You can if you want to. If you want to just do an experiment. I think I see a root down there. You see that? There's a root right there. So that's good. The roots are growing. See, that's 2. See if I can get one of these. I'm just doing this to show y'all an example of 1. Again, I want to make sure I'm not cutting nothing away that needs to stay. All right. Now, while I'm doing this, ironically, do you know where you can get really cheap cow pots for seed starting? Dollar Tree. Y'all not lying. Dollar Tree has the little cow pots for you. Now, granted, nothing is $1 anymore at the Dollar Tree. It's always $1.50 or $5. I don't know how we got the $5 at the Dollar Tree, but anyway, check out Dollar Tree, your local Dollar Tree. You may be able to see what's there. And also, Dollar Tree has seeds too. I don't know if y'all seen this, but you can buy like 3 packs of seeds for like $1.50 or something, at least at my Dollar Tree. And you'd be amazed what you can grow with that. Let me see if I can finish this here. All right. All right, y'all, be patient with me. Almost done with this one. Now, one thing I'm not actually sure of is how close I can plant these roses together. And actually, to be honest, I really should have got these roses out earlier this winter. I could have put these out like a month ago or two, because they're gonna be just fine because they're established plants. And but here we are. It's okay. You're never too late in the garden. You get it when you can, and it'll be okay. They're gonna appreciate you just as much. All right, so I'm gonna take this over here. So you see we got our slits in there, and I'm gonna just, now remember, this is my blue girl, so I'm actually planting this close to the patio because I want to be able to see it, right? When I'm sitting on the patio having different outings, we got a whole patio set we're gonna set up and put out here. The hubby and I, we're gonna want to entertain, and we're gonna just want to sit out here, drink a glass of lemonade and barbecue, and we're gonna have a good time out here, and we're gonna be able to look at our blue girl rose right over here. Let me go grab my shovel. All right, y'all, so I had already got some of this old watermelon stems out the way. Make sure I got my handy dandy boots on. I think these are True Dave boots, compliments of True Dave. So we're gonna get some of that out. You notice we still got a lot of leaves out here because it's still technically not spring yet. So I just kind of want to wait till everything, you know, we know for sure we're moving forward with springtime. And then I just like to knock it all out at once, cleaning up the leaves and everything. Now, actually, the leaves are really good for your soil. They actually biodegrade as well. It takes a little bit of time, so we're gonna get to the point where we actually got a whole pile of leaves over in the corner, and we're gonna put those in our compost. And so, another wedding gift, we have this compost bin that we actually turn, has a handle on it. So I'm looking forward to doing a video on that, showing y'all as well. All right, so notice that my bed here is about roughly 4x4s, a little bit lower, less than that, but let's say roughly 3.5 by 3.5. And so I got 2 of these bushes that we're gonna put out, these rose bushes. And so what I'm gonna do, and I'm also gonna plant other stuff here too, not just the rose bushes. I wanna plant some flower seeds out here as well. I want this to be the pollinator heaven garden right here, on the pollinator heaven bed. And so I'm gonna get my rose, since these are taller and you don't want those to block the sun from the rest of the yard, because the sun actually comes into my yard in this location first, and then it spreads eventually across the rest of the garden. So I don't want it to shade anything and block it from getting sun, because sun is priceless here in the garden. So I'm gonna push my rose bushes further back to the wall here so that when they get tall, they're not gonna block too much of the soil here for the rest of the plants. So let me go ahead and look at that. That actually looks really good. If you all, any of y'all out there, you a rose bush expert, drop some comments around how you start your rose. Do you use CowPots from the nursery? And any type of fertilizer you recommend. We're gonna just try to dig a well right now. Oh, look at that. Look at that right there. This right here, this little white bug right here, I think it's called a chicker bug. I'm gonna have to double check. But I was always told if you see one of those, you're gonna wanna get that out of your garden. So they actually are harmful to the plants. So I'm actually glad I stumbled upon that. So let me show y'all where I have my, if you recall, we have a place way back here in the back of the garden where we like to put things that we don't want in the garden. If you recall one of my videos with the hornworms, we actually have gotten rid of those back here. So I'm just gonna toss it back there and hope to never see that again. But hey, I know enough about the garden to know that, you know, these are all living organisms and they try to survive as the best way they can. And so do we. So if we see another one, I'll just try to get rid of that one as well. All right, so I think I got enough where I need to go now. So what I can do, I'm gonna sit this over in there just to see. Okay, not looking bad at all. As I can always build up around it. Another thing I wanna do is I like to put a little bit of fertilizer around the pot. And I don't have that handy with me right now. Maybe we'll show you all a shopping video of how and what things we look for when we go shopping for the garden. But I think that it'll suffice. And I'm gonna put the second one right there, right next to it. And so I'm actually gonna try to move this over just a little bit. All right. Oh, look at that. I found another one of those. There you go. If y'all know what this is, let me know. I'm gonna do my research as well. But yeah, you wanna get those out. Sorry, buddy. All right, so let me toss this one away real quick. I actually do try my best to not look at these things because they freak me out too. But maybe it can continue to live out there and not in my bed. So we likely have more in there. I'm not gonna worry about that right now. But what I do wanna do is I do wanna wet the soil around it. So let me go grab my hose pipe. And I'll be able to, oh, actually, let me just put a little bit in here for now. Get some water for us. All right, you all. I'm actually gonna pour some water over in here just to wet it up. I'll go back with the hose pipe a little bit later, but I just wanna get it a little bit moist. And I'm gonna literally just get it back over there. Push it back around there. I can always go back with some more soil. Okay. All right, y'all. So remember, this is just gonna be a mound, more so than a bed. I'm gonna remove these. And there we go. Planted our first rose bush in the backyard. All right, so really quickly, I want to just show you all a few of my fruit trees I'm gonna be planting. But we'll do that in a later video. But just follow me a little bit into the house as I bring these out. And the rest of the stuff in the garage, but I got a fig plant here. If you see, this fig plant has started to bloom, started to bud with leaves already. This thing, again, it was literally a twig. I'll try to get a video. It literally was a twig. And look at how it's grown. Staying here. I kept it in the garage. So I wasn't sure how far along the plant was. I got that one from a nursery, so I wasn't sure. Now my kiwi, I'm not sure if it's still alive or not. I'm gonna move it outside as well. This is my citronella geranium. It did really well. Now this actually usually comes back every year as well, but I just wanted to be on the safe side. This is a snake plant, which is actually a house plant. And so I like to keep this on my front porch. I'm really proud of this blueberry bush here. We're starting to see flowers. They smell so good. And little blueberry buds. And love those. I also have my blue agave cactus. Y'all, this thing is taking over. And look, we got something right here. I don't know what that is. That little thing right there, but who knows? I'm gonna keep growing that. Let's see what that comes out to be. But this blue agave cactus is, man, it's just, it may be another cactus actually. And last but not least, I thought this was dead. Never count out your plants. Look at it's starting to grow greenery, even though this has been brown. This is my persimmon tree, y'all. This is the famous persimmon tree I've been talking about. I kept these in the garage, hoping that they would do well and survive the winter, and they have. So we're gonna pull all these outside as well, and I appreciate y'all. Let me grab one, go back out. I probably can grab a couple actually. All right, y'all, so putting these out. Blueberry and my fig. Now I know this fig, as I mentioned before in previous videos, it does not need a male and female plant. That blueberry plant actually doesn't need male or female either, but I basically know that if you add more blueberry plants though, then it's more chances that you'll get better pollination. So it's not bad. I wish I would have got two while I was there, but there's actually a couple of them growing out of here. I think this may actually be another one. We'll see how well it does. It's my first year doing blueberries. I've done blackberries in the past, but anywho, first time doing figs. So y'all, we in the Garden of Nash. We starting to get this thing rocking and rolling. Can't wait for spring. Can't wait for sunny weather. Can't wait for green grass. Can't wait for allergies to go away. But let's get to work, y'all. So thanks so much for tuning in and watching Dr. Nash with the Garden of Nash. Remember, the more you grow, the more you know. Have you started your garden yet? As you can see, right here on the Garden of Nash, we have All right, so what we're about to do is clean up the garden bed, one of our beds. I actually have several beds like this, and again, I have lots of pots and containers all around the yard, front and back, side to side. But what we're gonna do is just show you kind of how I clean up my garden. So what you'll see is there's some plants left over from the winter season. So these are actually collards, and they're still pretty edible. If you cut them, they'll come again pretty much up until, I don't know, early spring again. But they're pretty much reached towards the end of their growing season. So I'm gonna leave the couple that are still kind of flourishing, and then I'm gonna pull up the other ones because they're just making space in the garden, and you know, we don't want something taken away from the nutrients that the other plants that are thriving would be able to soak up. Also, you see a lot of leaves. You'll also see like some of these twigs and things, and I have pine trees all around the yard, so definitely gonna have to clean that up. And you'll see a lot of sand here. I'm actually growing my beds up against a retainer wall that you see right here. And so it's really hard to keep the sand out the garden, but it's cool. That's not the worst of my troubles. If you add in the pests and the squirrels and all that, the much bigger problems to fish to fry. I did get that problem fixed. We put down some ground cover that's gonna grow really well in this spring because I had an erosion problem. But I'm gonna pick out these plants that aren't as big, and who knows, maybe we'll grow them in a pot and see if they still thrive. Maybe we'll do a little experiment there because we are the techie gardener, and do some experiments. But anyway, here we go. So now I'm wondering if I find any sweet potatoes in the soil. Definitely a lot of roots down here. You can just kind of follow the roots. Hope I don't see anything to pop out at me. This seems like a pretty big root there. Let's see if we can find anything. Anything I may have missed last year. Sweet potatoes grow really deep. Sometimes it's hard to get all of them. Man, it's definitely something going on in there. Little roots in there too. You kind of see this. So we got something going on. See if we can get to the bottom of it, literally. Might have to switch. Oh, y'all see that? It's a piece of a sweet potato. I'll show a picture of my sweet potatoes I grew a few years ago. I got like 10 sweet potatoes from 2 sweet potato halves. That's why I love gardening. The math doesn't add up, actually. All right. See what we got here. May not lead to anything, but it's cool to just check it out and see, at least. Look at that. So as you see, the sweet potatoes didn't do that well. They normally way bigger than that, but they were trying. Bless their heart, we say in the South. All right, I don't want to disturb my collard greens too much. Whatever is in there though, it'll eventually decompose and, you know, help the soil. So it's not a big thing. It's just kind of fun to dig for treasure. All right, that's enough. I don't think we're gonna, oh wait. These things are just all over the place. See, that's one that's decomposed. So that's what happens when it decomposes. You see the holes in there? So the worms and the organisms in the soil, they go through and eat the nutrients. They take the nutrients to other parts of the soil, and then they leave this, which eventually dries up. As they say, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. That's how it works. All right, we're gonna stop digging for treasure and get back to work. Just thought I might find another one in there, but all right, we're gonna stop playing around. Get back to work here. Huh? All right, y'all, so I am here. What I did was I got some extra soil. This is organic soil, and it is a multi-purpose soil, so it has some fertilizer in it. I think it's best and cheaper sometimes to stick with the multi-purpose, but just change out how you fertilize the soil depending on what it is that you're planting. So if it's flowers versus vegetables, you may need more composition of one type of fertilizer than the other. We also have some, in addition to the organic, we have some planting mix as well as potting soil. I wanted to do a lot more gardening containers because the sun moves so crazy around my yard. I like to move the pots and the containers to where they get the most sun. And sometimes you really don't know until you start to grow it, and you can kind of experiment with it a little bit. I know last year my beds actually ended up getting less sun towards the latter part of the season, which stumped a lot of my growth. And so we'll work on that. Also, in terms of the beds, there are certain things that grow well here in my area with less sun. And so I've learned that over time. And just remember those things when you keep track of it every year. I actually don't have a great journaling process. I mean, I do type notes in my phone, but for me, the best method of journaling is actually taking pictures. I can track the time I took the picture, the location. I also like to track, if you're starting a garden for the first time, I also like to track how the sun moves across your yard. We all know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, but in what way is your home positioned against that? And so what I do is I take a picture at 8 in the morning, 10 in the morning, 12, etc., every couple of hours from like 8 to 5, so you can kind of see how the sun moves across your yard. So you know the areas that have the most sun, the areas that have the least sun, least amount of hours per day. If you're growing anything fruit-wise, vegetable-wise that produces a fruit, you're gonna wanna have a good amount of sun. I think the recommendation is like 6 hours a day. For some of those, you can get around that, like the frost-tolerant plants, like your leafy greens and the early spring plants. They don't need as much sun, but as you get more into the summer, actually, because it gets so hot here, some of the things that do require sun don't do as well when the sun is out and it's so hot. So just keep that in mind. So gardening in the containers allows me to adjust that. All right, so in terms of fertilizer, what I have is I use a blood meal. I'm also able to spread this around as much as I need to. One thing that I don't know, a lot of people know this, but every fertilizer, it breaks down the amount of compounds. So if you ever notice those 3 numbers at the top of a fertilizer, that actually breaks down. I think it's nitrogen, phosphorus, and sodium or something. I forget what the 3 compounds are, but that tells you how much is in each fertilizer that you buy. So that helps, you'll know based on that, based on what you're growing, you may need some that are more heavy on the first element versus the last element or the middle element. So same here, I also have some of the bone meal. This is all organic, and you'll see these 3 numbers, 4, 12, 0. So this is also, oh, here we are, nitrogen, phosphate, and calcium. Those are what those 3 numbers indicate. So it actually tells you on the bag too. This is probably better for things that bulb, that have flowers. It's always good to grow flowers in your garden too. You need good pollinators so you can attract the bees, especially if you're growing things like peppers. I like to grow my okra flowers. They attract a lot of bees too. So it's all good. Everything works together in the ecosystem of the garden. Last but not least, I have this last bit of fertilizer here. And this is actually organic, for organic gardening. It's called Plant Tone. It's made by the same company. I had really good progress with this company, and it is a special formula that I'm actually trying out for the first time. So you and me both, we're gonna learn together. But anyway, it was on sale, but it's the original organic for flowers, vegetable, trees, and shrubs. So again, I like to get something that I can work into the garden for whatever it is I'm planting. And I wonder, does it have the 3 numbers on here as well? Yeah, here we go, 533. So it's more of a balance, but again, hence it works better for a wide variety of plants and flowers. All right, so let's get started with cleaning up one of our beds.